Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to our channel. This channel is run by two twin sisters, so I'm gonna be your host today, Star. So October is coming to an end and Halloween is literally almost over. Literally, it is 7:03 as I'm writing the script for this video, and currently right now it is 8:14 as I am doing the voiceover. So I'm literally racing against time to release this video before October ends because, it's like Halloween themed. So here, originally, like my original idea or my original format for this video was going to be a speed paint, but none of my screen recording, I have 43 screen recording videos because I was like screen recording sessions because my iPad hates me screen recording longer than like an hour. But anyways, a lot of my screen recording footage did not want to download into my editor, so I might just have to resort to just using the time-lapse feature, which it is 17 minutes long, so I guess that will tell you how long I've been working on this piece. So, if you read the title, today's video is turning Halloween iconic characters / figures into witches. My original idea was, or like my original 3 characters or 3 iconic figures were gonna be vampires, clowns, and zombies, but I really couldn't think of a good enough like outfit idea. Or just like an outfit idea like I just liked enough for zombies. So I'm just gonna be working with vampire and clown. So to start off, I drew each character separate. I tend to always go with my first idea of like style, outfit, character design, whatever. So I wanted to experiment more when working on this. Currently, I'm working on a Winx Club redesign video that I started back at the end of the summer, and I did this format where for all of the girls I drew them all separately and drew like different variation for outfits, and I really liked how I did that, so I wanted to try it again. It's definitely a method that I'm thinking of I'm thinking of continuing for like future pieces if it's necessary. But for each of the girls' inspiration, I just went onto Pinterest, trusty old Pinterest, and just compiled a board of outfit inspirations, and I just mixed and matched some different ideas together or thought of some elements myself that I think, that I thought would complete the final look. And then afterwards, I just kind of picked the best one and I moved on to doing the final piece. I used 3D models for both of the girls here, but what I didn't realize until I was watching the playback, that the girl that's sitting on the chair, who is the vampire in this drawing, her image was set to private. So how I usually do my work on Procreate is I use the built-in 3D reference window. But also sometimes I go the old-fashioned way and just litter my canvas with a bunch of like different images, just because that's just how I like to do it. And so since discovering the feature of like the private feature in Procreate, I usually open those images on a private layer, so whenever I do post my time lapses, they look a little bit more presentable and you actually get to see what I'm doing. Because most of the times you can't because they're like pictures on top of pictures, and then I also do a bunch of writing and I have checklists. I do checklists to like make sure I keep all like the elements that I want intact, and it looks ugly usually, so I like using the private feature on Procreate for that. So yeah, I accidentally hid her model image on a private layer as I was adding all my images from Pinterest and as I was adding the screenshot that I took from the 3D model app that I used. So yeah, nothing too major, but I just did want to point that out because in the footage it does look weird, like how she came to be. Anyways, I had an original vision for this piece. The characters were going to be in front of this like glass window and light was going to shine through it and yada yada yada, blah blah blah, and it just did not work out. As I progressed with the piece, none of that just ended up happening. And so honestly, I literally finished this piece around 3 in the afternoon today. Then I went to like register for classes, and then now I'm just like back to try to put this video out by tonight. So I had no time in the end to do any sort of fancy background. You'll see what I went for in the end. It's pretty basic and boring, but I think, the piece is done, so I'm not mad about that overall. Okay, so moving on, let's see. There's not really much to talk about really with this piece. The process was the same. My technique was pretty much the same. I would say, other than when working on the vampire character, and I don't know like if the voiceover is going to align with the footage, but anyways, when working on the vampire character, I did my rendering technique on her shading layer, which is like underneath the sketching layer, meaning I did these like soft circular rotations that I would usually do on top of my sketch line underneath it instead. I don't know, it just kind of made the rendering later on easier because I just had to clean that up instead of like doing those soft circular textured curls from scratch. So I don't know, so maybe for like curly and texture hair in the future, I'll try that method again to see if it really works or if this was just like a lucky thing. I think what made me take really long to work on this piece was, one, procrastination. I started this piece October 9th, I think, or regardless, sometime in the beginning of October. And I've been working on it slowly until literally today, the 31st. And I think two was my sketching. How I usually work is I color after sketching. I don't do line art. I don't do clean sketching lines, none of that. So working around a lot of hatchy and messy lines really extend the length of any given piece depending on how messy my sketching is. And yes, I could have just erased those lines that were causing problems, but a part of my art style, I don't know, the look is the brush I use for rendering. And going over those messy lines helps me achieve the look that I like. So if I got rid of it, like, maybe erase these lines, then I don't know, I feel like I won't have a guideline of where I should render at or where to apply a more textured brush. It's just an easier way to do that than apply the brush randomly with no reason. So, I don't do that. I like to do what I do. And honestly, I did this to myself, but I don't know, I feel like it worked well in the end, so I don't really mind. But I feel like this isn't the first time this has happened to me where a piece took ridiculously long because of the way I sketched. So maybe I do need to tweak some things so this doesn't happen again in the future. Okay, so I did this with my last video I posted earlier this month, but I want to get into who these characters might be. Story-wise, characteristics, I don't know. So let's see if any of this makes sense. So to start off with, let's talk about our witch clown girl. She is nameless for now. Her design shows her with a colorful two-piece, or it could be a dress, I don't know. She's decked out with colorful polka dots, and she has a theme of like circles. She has ringlet pigtails, a polka dot party hat, and a long leg warmers, I think, that just cover her feet because I was just lazy to draw them. I was originally going to go for a more scary vibe with her when I was like planning my Pinterest board originally to play into the more horrific themes of clowns. But I wanted a visual contrast between the two girls. I didn't want them both to be dark, and I could have maybe played around with the vampire being more playful and colorful. But I was kind of really set on how the vampire was going to look like. So I decided that because I wanted a visual contrast between the two girls, I decided that she was going to be more vibrant and colorful then. Now, since she is a witch, I like to think that she has the ability to generate illusions or hallucinations or create construct creations. Hopefully that makes sense. It's either like illusions / hallucinations or the creating constructs. I like the idea that she can create these fictitious creatures that go hand in hand with like her playful nature, but also she can create something more horrific and deranged. And I feel like that her powers would then easily convey how she's feeling, even though her expression might not. Maybe like visually, she like because of how she dressed and her facial expression, she tends to be, she tends to be this, or she tends to give off the illusion that she's happy, playful. And sometimes she is, and maybe sometimes she isn't. And I think a way for people to know when she really isn't in a good mood is the ways she decides to use her powers. And I feel like for illusions / hallucinations or creating contrast, constructs or creating constructs, I feel like she either both type of powers will be able to create something, like I said, these like fictitious creatures that are either good or bad. Yeah, I just kind of don't know whether or not for her powers if I would want those creatures to be tangible. I think that would determine what type of power set she actually does have. Next, for our vampire girl, so when I'm writing this, I do realize, and I don't know if the footage is showing this or not, I don't add fangs to the character. I do remember near the end trying to afterwards like add fangs, but the piece was already done and I couldn't figure out what the placement would look like, and I was just running out of time, so I wasn't gonna like redraw her lips and stuff. So I don't know if before I post this like on Instagram or Twitter if I would fix it depending on the time that I do have. I don't know, maybe I would, but just believe me when I say that she is a vampire and not an elf, even though she really does look like an elf. Anyways, unlike her clown counterpart, our girl's also, our vampire girl is also nameless, but unlike her clown counterpart, she is decked in more darker muted colors. I did add a pink bow as a reference to the clown friend and gave her a white cuff to pair the two girls together because they both have white in them. The vampire girl has a long sleeve red shirt that flows onto her pants. And on top of that, she has a red corset that honestly blends in a little too much to her shirt. You can't really tell that they might be two separate pieces. So yeah, there's that. She has ripped gray tights and also gray, slightly different type of like shade of gray, but also gray, almost knee-high boots that has the pink ribbons to top it off. As for her powers, it's kind of obvious, I think, but I would say that I would give her blood magic because, I don't know, duh. I think that she would have the ability to control her blood and other people's blood. I think that she can heal. She'll probably cast like curses and spells that are only blood related. She can also shapeshift into a bat because why not? What else? I think she would have the ability to like mesmerize people and then also summon spirits and demons due to her being like a medium of communication between her world or like one world and then the underworld. So I have to be honest, like half of her power set ideas that I gave her, I literally just took from my main character of a 3-part comic story that I'm working on right now. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the powers that the character that in the comic has works well for this one, so I just kind of added it there, and I think it just, the power sets work well together and it just makes sense to me. I don't know, because I gave her the same power sets or like almost the same power sets, if I would reuse this design for the comic character, because she isn't a vampire, she's just a human, so I don't think that would work. You know, obviously you just gotta change the ears because she already doesn't have fangs anyway, so it's not that hard. But I feel like the girl in this drawing gives off very powerful leader vibes. And I feel like the character in the comic, while she does become powerful later on, and I feel like she does end up having a leadership role, it isn't to the same degree as I feel like the girl in this drawing would have. So while I would take some inspiration, I don't think I would reuse the design overall for that comic character. I think I would leave her, like this girl in this drawing, to be like her own character. So I don't know, I gotta think of names, because once I think of names for these characters, I then become attached. So then I would then draw them over and over again. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up, but let's quickly talk about the very, very much rushed background. So the only thing I'll say about it is that in order to not make it look boring, I added my own pieces, like drawings that I've done in the past. I added the drawing that I did this month with the TikTok OC challenge, and I added 2 other pieces. I think I added my Bat Family screenshot redraw piece. I think I also added my Usopp One Piece fan art piece from last year. The Bat Family one was earlier this year. And if I did have space, I think I might have added my Angel piece as well. So I would have like 2 fan art pieces and then 2 original art pieces. But I'm not sure. But those are the pieces that I did add. And I added them in there to be kind of like picture frames. I don't know if that it really gave that illusion because I didn't have time to actually draw like full-on frames for it to really make sense. Those pictures are on its own layer, so maybe who knows if I would even post it with the picture, quote-unquote picture frames in there. But I did put those in the back, and I don't know, like I said, it feels a little bit random, and it may feel a little out of place. But I literally had no other ideas to do something for the background with how rushed I'm doing this and like how last minute everything is. So please, let's just pretend it looks good. Yeah, let's do that. Anyways, I think this is it. I don't really have anything else to say. The piece is done, and I'm surprisingly like I'm so proud of it, and I really liked it. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites I've done this year. One of my favorites. Maybe like definitely top 10. I don't know if it'll be top 5. We'll see when the end of the year comes. But yeah, I don't know. I like the design choices that I did for the 2 characters, so I feel like I would definitely draw them again. Like I said, once I give them names, I feel attached, and I would definitely draw them again after that. So I don't know. I'm gonna think of some names. So yeah. As I'm writing the script and as I'm like doing the voiceover without really looking at the footage here, I don't know where we're at in the video. So I don't know if I'll let the video play out after the voiceover ends, or I'll cut it or speed it up so everything just kind of ends together. I don't know. We'll see. But regardless of that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you celebrate Halloween, happy Halloween, and stay safe if you are outside. Let me know your thoughts down below. I would really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you so much for watching. Jenna, I'll see you in another video. Have an amazing night. Stay safe, stay warm. Peace. Bye, guys.